Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. You're watching Sharkcast Entertainment, and I am your host, Brian Gatto. Today I'm going to be interviewing Brad Carter, author of Cruel Jaws, Night of the Demon, Mardi Gras Massacre.
Hey, what's up, guys?
So yeah, we got this is our second interview together, actually. I did one a long time ago when he had just Cruel Jaws on the market. So that was a lot of fun. Alright, so I have it in 3 different categories, each are for each book. So the first one up is for Cruel Jaws. What went through your head when watching the movie to prepare for writing its novelization?
Well, I mean, I'd seen it before, but when I first rewatched it within the mind frame of this is what I'm going to novelize, I thought there's not a lot of plot or character development there. I would imagine the screenplay is probably in the neighborhood of like 70 pages, maybe. And I knew I wanted to get a 250-page book out of it. And so I just started looking for gaps that I could fill in. And basically, my mindset has always been, how would this movie have been made if there was unlimited budget? I mean, probably Bruno Mattei would have made like 5 movies if there was unlimited budget, but I tried to stay true to like the spirit of the sort of Italian exploitation film spirit, but really I was just looking for where I could fill in gaps, plot holes, how I could flesh out characters, things like that.
Yeah, they definitely tried to have stories there, but they just never really concluded. They just kind of left it open.
Yeah. Well, there's a story there, but it's very, it's very simple, straightforward. And it was just, I think, Bruno Mattei saying, well, how many things can I rip off here? And so in the spirit of that, I just went kind of crazy with what I put in the book. And David Gregory at Severin didn't have any issues with me adding anything or changing anything. And I've heard that people say they wish the movie was like the book, and that's probably my favorite compliment that I've gotten for any of these film novelizations that I've written.
Yeah, I agree. It would have made the movie like a higher rating for me for sure if it was based on the book more.
Right. Well, the movie is made for peanuts. And with the book, it was also made for peanuts, but with the book, you're unlimited. You can write anything. So
yeah, that's one of the reasons I'm an author and not a director. I'm like,
right.
Limited budget, no studio pressure, so it's like
yeah, sure.
What was your favorite scene to recreate in Cruel Jaws?
To recreate, I think all the scenes with the mafia guys who were just sort of barely in the movie were a lot of fun to really work with and expand. I guess I could be accused of having some stereotypes in there, but that was a lot of fun. And the helicopter, which, as I understand it, was stolen from another movie, like the actual shot. I think there's a lot of stolen stuff in the movie, but that was fun because I thought, well, if I'm ripping off another movie that they ripped off, that's sort of meta, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, they stole it from The Last Shark.
There you go. Yeah.
But the scenes with the sheriff and the helicopter was just a shot of the sheriff in the helicopter while it's on the ground or something.
Yeah, right. So I think I went, pretty overboard. Like if you shot my version, it would be, 20 times as expensive, probably.
Oh, yeah.
Minimum. There's an actual shark in my book.
And an actual moving helicopter.
That's right. Yes.
Is the idea for a sequel, because the book does leave off on a cliffhanger, still a possibility?
I mean, if a publisher wanted me to write it, like if I knew that if that was on the table, and I don't think there's any rights issues there, I would totally do it. the characters, those that survive, are already established, and you know, when I wrote it, that ending, I just thought it would be funny to like tease a sequel to this movie that's like 30 years old, and you know, and when David Gregory told me that, you know, it was kind of a wide open thing, I thought, well, let's see how far I can push that, and I'll change the ending. And yeah, I mean, I would totally do it if someone, you know, if enough people want to read it and the publisher wants to get behind it, then I would totally write it.
Yeah, I'm happy these are on Kindle now because I have like several copies of each book because I was like, if I ruin one,
Yeah.
I have this one. So it's definitely probably going to sell a lot more because it's on Kindle too now. So hopefully that works out.
Yeah, we do have where all the books so far had been done in-house by Severin Films, and for the purposes of at least the novelizations that I've written, they've partnered with Encyclopocalypse Publications, and so there's going to be a lot wider distribution. And while we were at it, we did new covers, and I think there's 2 different formats of the book, the print book, and they cleaned up some of the editing errors that kind of slipped through. So it's pretty exciting. You know, these are guys that are actual book publishers, so that they have a little more in the way of experience there. When we first did Cruel Jaws, it was just sort of almost a joke. I don't think people expected me to write like a real book, but I figured if my name's on it, I need to, you know, give them the full thing. And the success of it, I think, kind of, surprised everybody. So
yeah, it's kind of also meta that Jaws was based on a book made into a movie, got ripped off by Cruel Jaws, and was made into a book.
Yeah, I mean, it's like when you have the old photocopier and you're making like copies of a copy of a copy.
So then we'll move on to Night of the Demon, the 1980 version. This is that slasher Bigfoot story that everyone talks about, I think. What made you want to write the book in a different structure than the film? Like how the film started with him in the hospital and then kind of went off in a flashback.
Yeah, it's partly because I kind of dislike movies and books with that structure because you know that character's going to survive, and it also kind of, it kind of says like everyone's dead except this guy. Well, that to me that undercut a lot of the suspense, at least for the purposes of the book, and I just. I thought it needed a little more pop at the opening. I wanted to get Bigfoot right there on the page within the first 10 pages. But there again, it was just that's a movie that it's got probably more plot and character development than Cruel Jaws, but still not enough to sustain 300 pages. So I just wanted to expand it a little bit. And, my attitude has always been, if someone has seen this movie a lot, they don't need to read a book that just tells them, hey, here's what happened in the movie. And maybe I'll tell you a little bit about what this character is thinking. I wanted to give, fans of it like sort of an expanded version, like almost if I was going to remake the movie or something.
Yeah, you could definitely use a remake.
Well, there's some limitations there. Yeah.
I mean, one of them's probably the title makes no sense, like Night of the Demon.
Right. I tried to sort of make that make a little more sense. And
yeah, you did. I read the novelization and it helped it a lot. I was like, okay, that makes sense now.
Yeah, I'd always wondered about that title. I didn't feel like it really fit. So, but when you're novelizing the movie, you're stuck with that title. So yeah. I thought, well, let's see if I can tie that in a little better.
Yeah, if you make a sequel to this one, it should be called Night of the Demon 2: Bride of the Bigfoot. Make more sense.
The Bigfoot spawn.
Oh no, not another one.
Yeah.
What was your favorite death to recreate in Night of the Demon?
To recreate, the obvious one, the biker,
Yeah.
That's the one everybody, I think, when they pick up the book, if they're familiar with the movie, they want to see, they want to see the guy get his junk ripped off. And when I'm going through the movie, anytime I'm writing one of these, I try to find the scenes that I know I have to include. And I didn't even, that was never even a question going into it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that one obviously was fun because I tried to think, well, how do I approach, what can I say? What can I write about this fellow getting his unit, torn off? And
thankfully, Severin seemed pretty open to changes and going extreme.
Oh yeah, same thing. That I've never had any limitations imposed on me. In fact, the only thing that I've ever gotten really in the way of direction was just to go all out, turn up the volume on it a little bit, because Cruel Jaws is sort of tame. It's sort of a PG-13 type thing, and right, and so so they wanted a hard R, and that's kind of what I do with my writing anyway. So I wanted to make it more on brand with the Severin catalog. With Night of the Demon, that wasn't an issue. That movie's pretty sleazy already.
Will we see more of the demon?
Sure. All these things, when I write them, I feel like, one, did I do the movie justice, or is it also a book that could stand on its own? So, like, the idea of writing a sequel, that never happened is fun for me. But as a working writer, I have to know that there's a market for it, that, my time's kind of stretched as it is. So when I go into a project, I have to kind of be aware that there's the money behind it. I mean, that's not a very artistic thing to say, but my mortgage doesn't get paid by artistic cred.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's still a business.
Yeah, it is. It's a fun business.
Yeah.
But so if I felt like that was, sequels to these, if that was gonna, pay my light bill or whatever, then by all means, I'd love to write them. So that's really just a question for the people that buy them and read them, I guess.
For the next Mardi Gras Massacre, for those who have not read it, how would you gain a potential reader's interest? What would be your pitch?
A book about a crazy guy carving up hookers in late 70s New Orleans around Mardi Gras time. That one, honestly, that one I wrote to be sort of like a almost Dirty Harry, gritty 70s crime type thing. Cruel Jaws was this big, military espionage adventure type thing, and Night of the Demon was, a full-on horror book. And for Mardi Gras Massacre, I tried to write it more like a crime drama. There's nothing really supernatural in it, and so I just tried to write one of these old crime books that's full of these really wacky characters. And so yeah, I mean, if you like it could possibly appeal to people who like mysteries, I guess.
That's the one I haven't read. I plan to, but for people like me who haven't read it, is there indeed a massacre?
Yeah, well, I think a massacre sort of implies like all at once. Mm-hmm. And so there's not really that, but there's a high body count. There's some really icky, sleazy stuff in there. Cause again, the movie is fairly explicit. It was a video nasty. So, and this one, reputation was earned. So it became a challenge to sort of turn up the volume on that, but it's sort of become my trademark with these novelizations is sort of amping them up, and so I had to look at ways that I could get that done. I think I succeeded. It's pretty nasty. It's a book nasty, not a video nasty.
What do you think of the film?
Well, I mean, there again, it's one of these movies that was just made for, peanuts budget. It's just very, very low budget. In fact, I think it looks to me like they only had one fake naked body for the female victim, so it doesn't match up very well to the actors. But I mean, whether you enjoy it or the movie's enjoyable to you or not really just depends on the kind of film that you like. I really like outrageous exploitation movies. Even when they're bad, they're pretty entertaining. It's certainly not boring, and it really is like a real gritty, sleazy movie. It feels like New Orleans. I mean, it was shot there. So yeah, this is one that was of the three that I've done so far. I had not seen that movie before I went into it. So the first time I was watching it was when I was doing my sort of, taking notes and sort of getting ready and doing my pre-writing stuff for it. But if you watched Night of the Demon and liked that, I don't see any reason you wouldn't like Mardi Gras Massacre.
Was it harder to write the Mardi Gras Massacre novelization because you hadn't seen it before?
Not really. The hard thing about Mardi Gras Massacre just came from the fact that I didn't make up the location. The other two books, they have locations that are fictional, but this was really New Orleans. And so if you're from New Orleans or you've been there, you probably noticed that I played with things like street names and a little bit of the geography. I tried to stay true to the French Quarter streets, but once I got out of there, then it was also, this one was set in, about the time I was born. So I had to go back and look up some things about cars and the guns. I mean, but just, all the details that come with writing something about a police department. But I don't think not having seen the movie, I mean, it was actually probably a bit of a plus. But no, it wasn't. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't like, I don't think not being familiar with the movie made it any harder to write, because I've always, not adhered directly to the film itself. So,
what are your other works that you have out or have planned to write that you could possibly share with us?
Well, I have two coming out towards the end of the year, two more novelizations for Severin, but I can't say what they are. I will say, though, that if people have liked what I've done so far, they're going to go kind of nuts for these. And the director and screenwriter are, they're still living. And I was able to work with them. Like we talked back and forth had a few meetings about the novels, and what I did was write the novel based on the original film treatments instead of the finished product. And so they're substantially different from the films, but they were written in conjunction with the screenwriter. And I mean, these are people that I guess I can say they're Italian, and they were. It was an absolute dream come true to get to to speak to them and to work with them, and I'm immensely proud of these books. And it is so hard to not shout about what they are, because I can say one of them is over 500 pages, and it's just the most insane thing I've ever written. So I have that, and I think there's going to be new editions of these other two. that I did for Severin, in addition to Cruel Jaws. And I'm working on getting my back catalog back in print at the publisher that I was working with, folded up shop, and so my stuff has my first 7 novels have gone out of print, and I'm working on getting those back out there. Plus, I have a finished crime novel that I'm shopping around that hopefully I find a home for. So, lots of stuff.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's like a dream come true, right? Like when you become an author and it just all works out.
Yeah, I mean, there's some definite stress involved with, you can have months where the paycheck's great, and then you can go a while without having anything. And so it is scary, and the margins are kind of slim. Some months I have to really be careful, but that's sort of it's not a fair trade, or it's a fair trade for not having to do something I absolutely hate.
Yeah, so you're a full-time author?
Yeah, I also do some freelance work, and I work, I sort of assist in a small way, the post-production department at Severin.
That's good.
Yeah, if you like the subtitles on the foreign language tracks for Severin Films, you're welcome.
Where can we find your books?
Well, right now, it's going to be Encyclopocalypse, and I believe they distribute to all the usual channels. So, I mean, as to my understanding, they'll be available to order through your bookstore, to Amazon. Just go to your library and request that they get it. I think just any of the usual book channels. Before, everything was just through the Severin web store. So I'm hoping to really reach a bigger audience here. There's 2 editions, at least, of Cruel Jaws. One is a mass market paperback, so the pocket paperback size, like the airport. Yeah, like that. And then there's a trade paperback too, and they have different covers. So I really dig the new covers. I was trying to figure out which one I like best. Fortunately, I think they're going to send me some of both. I hope, anyway.
When I used to look up stuff about Cruel Jaws, both those covers were my favorite. I couldn't decide between the 2. The Severin cover is good too, to be honest. It has the shark from Jaws on it, so of course it's going to be good.
Right, and that there, of course, is some some of the trouble we ran into while that one has been out of print for a while.
Yeah. Did you have anything else you wanted to add?
No, just everybody that has read them, thanks for reading them. Thanks for supporting me. If you haven't read them, I'd love to hear what you think, and keep your eyes open for the new stuff that's coming out. There's going to be stuff coming out from now right up to the end of the year. So.
Yeah, and I'll put links to Encyclopocalypse and the links to the books each individually in the description below. But yeah, definitely check out his work. But that's going to do it for this video, guys. Hit that notification bell to be notified every time I make a new video. And as always, subscribe. Thanks for joining me, Brad.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for having me.